Marcus Turner sat on the front steps, adjusting the cuffs of his crisp black tuxedo. His dark brown eyes reflected a mixture of excitement and nerves, flickering like the morning light playing across the smooth fabric. The faint rustle of his jacket accompanied the soft creak of the wooden steps beneath him. Today was the day he had dreamed of since he met Elena 2 years ago. The quiet buzz of the town's morning hustle, bicycles passing by with the rhythmic click of chains, neighbors greeting one another with warm smiles and nods, felt like a gentle heartbeat syncing with his own. The scent of freshly cut grass from the nearby park mingled with the faint hint of lilacs blooming in window boxes, their delicate fragrance weaving through the air like a whispered promise. Everything was perfect. Marcus's lean frame was taut with anticipation. His hands trembled slightly as he gripped a small, worn hay bale placed beside the steps, a rustic prop for the wedding photos, chosen to honor the town's agricultural roots. The hay bale's rough texture, prickly yet familiar, pressed against his fingers, grounding him, reminding him that life was a blend of simple truths and complex emotions. He could almost feel the weight of generations of farmers, sweat and toil bound up in those golden strands. He glanced down the street, where a sleek black car had just pulled up, its polished surface gleaming in the sunlight. A familiar figure emerged, the woman he was about to marry, Elena. She had the poise of a queen, her smile radiant despite the early hour. Dressed in a delicate white gown adorned with intricate lace that shimmered subtly in the light, she looked every bit the bride Marcus had imagined. Yet beneath the calm surface, Marcus sensed the day held more than just joy. Something was stirring, a ripple in the smooth fabric of their celebration, a quiet tension that hovered just beyond the edges of his awareness. As the town clock chimed 8, its clear notes echoing softly through the morning air, Marcus stood, brushing off his jacket with slow, deliberate movements. The warmth of the sun kissed his face, and a breeze stirred the leaves overhead, carrying with it the mingled scents of pine, lilac, and earth. Today, in this quiet town embraced by towering oaks and whispered hopes, their story would change forever. Marcus's life was woven tightly into the fabric of Willow Creek, each thread a memory, a connection, a story. The son of a local mechanic and a school teacher, he had grown up running barefoot through cornfields, his laughter echoing alongside the rustle of hay bales stacked high in barns. The earth beneath his feet was familiar and comforting. It sent a mix of rich soil and sweet hay. His days were filled with the familiar rhythm of work and community, punctuated by evenings spent strumming his guitar on the porch under star-studded skies, the soft hum of crickets accompanying his melodies. At 28, Marcus was a man of quiet strength and gentle humor. His broad shoulders bore the weight of responsibility, but his eyes held a softness that charmed everyone who knew him. His mornings began early at the family's auto shop, where grease-streaked hands and the smell of motor oil became second nature. The tang of gasoline and the sharp clink of tools against metal were as familiar to him as the beat of his own heart. Yet, Marcus dreamed beyond the shop's walls, of a life filled with music, love, and the freedom to build something lasting. Elena had entered his life like a fresh breeze, changing the air around him. Their courtship was a dance of shy glances and shared secrets beneath the willow tree by Miller's Pond, its branches trailing like soft curtains over their whispered conversations. She was an artist, her soul painted in hues of compassion and fire, her laughter bright and spontaneous like brushstrokes on a canvas. Together they forged a bond that felt unbreakable, grounded in mutual respect and quiet affection. Their upcoming wedding was not just a union, but a celebration of resilience. Both had faced challenges, Marcus with the weight of racial prejudice simmering subtly beneath the town's polite smiles, Elena with her own shadows from a past she rarely spoke of. Yet here they stood, ready to say I do amidst the scent of lilacs and the rough embrace of hay bales, symbols of their intertwined lives. Life in Willow Creek was simple, yet beneath its surface lay currents of complexity, friendships tested by time, old wounds healing slowly, and the ever-present hope of new beginnings. Marcus often found solace in the small moments, the crackle of a campfire, the warmth of Elena's hand in his, the quiet strength of the earth beneath his boots. The morning festivities began with laughter and the clinking of glasses, but beneath the surface, tension hummed like electricity. The community center buzzed with energy, floral arrangements swayed gently in the soft breeze, and the scent of lilacs mingled with the faint aroma of fresh-baked pastries from the kitchen. Yet Marcus noticed the way a few townsfolk cast furtive glances his way, whispers barely masked behind hands and tilted heads. The warmth of the day was suddenly punctuated by a chill he couldn't shake. As the bridal party gathered near the community center, the old hay bale once again caught Marcus's attention. It stood beside the wooden platform where vows would be exchanged, its golden strands catching the sunlight like a beacon of tradition. Yet today it seemed to anchor a heavier mood, as if it absorbed the unspoken anxieties of the crowd. Elena approached, her face radiant but her eyes flickering with unease. "Marcus," she whispered, voice low but urgent, "did you hear about the call the sheriff's office received last night?" Marcus shook his head, heart tightening. "What call?" "A report about someone matching your description seen near the East End Railroad tracks. They think it might be a suspect in a minor theft case." Marcus's breath hitched, the words crashing over him like cold waves. The railroad tracks were a few blocks from his childhood home, a place he visited often for solace, where he found peace in the rhythmic clatter of trains and the open sky. The idea that suspicion had fallen on him felt like ice water flooding his veins. "Are you sure it's me?" he asked, voice barely audible, the tremor betraying his calm. Elena's gaze softened as she reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair behind his ear. "They're not sure, but the officer said they might come by to talk. I'm worried." The joyous hum of the crowd felt distant now, the laughter and music muffled by the pounding of Marcus's heart. The scent of lilacs, once sweet and comforting, seemed to curl into something sharper, almost accusing. Marcus's grip tightened on the hay bale's rough edges, each strand pricking his palm like a reminder of the fragility of trust. A cloud was gathering, threatening to darken the brightest day of his life. The sun climbed higher, its heat warming the faces of guests who had taken their seats in the community center's main hall. The room was alive with chatter and anticipation, white ribbons fluttering from the windows and the soft rustle of silk dresses and polished shoes. Marcus stood by the entrance, adjusting his bow tie in the reflection of the glass door, exhaling slowly to steady his nerves. Elena was inside, surrounded by friends, her laughter ringing like bells, a bright contrast to the knot tightening in his stomach. Suddenly a sharp knock echoed through the hall, silencing the room as if a switch had been flipped. Two uniformed police officers stepped inside, their expressions unreadable beneath the brim of their hats. The crowd parted instinctively, whispers swelling like a rising tide, tension coiling in the air. "Marcus Turner?" one officer called out, voice steady but firm, cutting through the quiet. Marcus stepped forward, confusion knitting his brow. "Yes, that's me. What's this about?" The taller officer produced a folded warrant, the paper crackling softly as he unfolded it, eyes flicking over the document with practiced efficiency. "You're under arrest for suspicion of involvement in a theft reported near the East Railroad tracks. We need you to come with us." Shock rippled through the guests like electricity. Elena's face paled, her hands trembling as she gripped the edge of a nearby hay bale used for seating. Murmurs of disbelief floated in the air, the joyous atmosphere curdling into stunned silence. "No," Marcus said, voice rising with a mixture of desperation and disbelief. "There's been a mistake. I've done nothing wrong." Elena stepped forward, voice firm despite the tears threatening to spill. "He's innocent. You must believe me." The officers remained impassive, their grip gentle but insistent as they led Marcus toward the exit. The sight of the hay bale, once a symbol of celebration, now felt like a silent witness to an injustice unfolding. Its rough fibers seemed to echo the harshness of the moment. As Marcus was escorted away, Elena's eyes locked onto his, a silent vow passing between them. This was not the end. It was the beginning of a fight for truth, love, and the hope that justice would prevail. In the sterile, fluorescent-lit interrogation room, Marcus sat with his hands cuffed to the cold metal table. The faint scent of disinfectant mingled with the gentle hum of a ceiling fan, its blades stirring the still air. His heart pounded not with fear but with determination, each beat a drum of resolve. Detective Harris, a seasoned officer with graying hair and empathetic eyes, entered holding a file thick with reports. His voice softened as he spoke. "Marcus, we just want the truth. Help us clear this up." Marcus met his gaze steadily, the weight of the moment settling in. I was at home last night with Elena and her family. I wasn't anywhere near the railroad tracks. Harris nodded slowly, tapping the file. We're checking the security footage and interviewing witnesses. There's been some mix-up, but your description matched the one given. Marcus's mind raced. The hay bale kept surfacing in his thoughts, the one near the tracks where he sometimes went to think. Could someone have been trying to frame him? The thought stung deep, a sharp ache beneath his ribs. Meanwhile, Elena was rallying support outside, speaking with friends and neighbors. The scent of fresh lilacs from her bouquet clung to her dress, a symbol of hope and resilience. Her voice was steady, filled with quiet fury and unwavering belief as she urged, "We can't let this stand. Marcus is innocent." Hours passed. The investigation deepened, peeling back layers of misunderstanding and assumptions. Marcus's faith in truth and the love that bound him to Elena became his anchor, a lifeline in the storm. Back in Willow Creek, whispers swirled like autumn leaves caught in a gust, swirling through the streets and cozy porches where neighbors gathered. Some townsfolk were supportive, offering kind smiles and words of encouragement, but others murmured skepticism behind closed doors. The shadow of prejudice, subtle yet persistent, stretched over the small community like a slow-moving fog. Marcus's arrest became the talk of the town, and the hay bale by the railroad tracks, once unnoticed, now held an ominous significance. It was near where the rumored theft had occurred, and some said the hay bale was used to hide stolen goods. The image gnawed at Marcus's mind, each whisper like a thorn digging deeper. Elena faced her own challenges. Friends urged caution, fearing the scandal might tarnish the wedding. "Maybe you should postpone," one advised gently, her eyes filled with concern. Yet Elena remained steadfast, her resolve fueled by love and a desire to see justice done. "No," she said firmly, "we can't let fear dictate our lives." Detective Harris shared updates cautiously during their conversations. "We found inconsistencies in the witness statements. The description might have been mistaken." His voice carried a note of hope, but the clock ticked relentlessly toward the wedding day. Marcus's future, his freedom and reputation, hung in precarious balance. The hay bale's rough fibers seemed to echo the rough path ahead, reminding them both that truth often required endurance through discomfort, patience through pain. In the quiet of the night, Elena visited Marcus at the local jail. The room was dim, the air thick with the scent of cold metal and worn leather, the faint hum of the fluorescent lights above flickering intermittently. Marcus looked up as the door creaked open, his eyes lighting with relief and longing. "I'm glad you're here," he said softly, voice hoarse from silence. Elena took his hand, the warmth a balm against the sterile chill, squeezing gently. "We're in this together. I believe in you, Marcus. Always." Their conversation flowed, memories of their first meeting beneath the willow tree, dreams of a life built on trust, and the shared hope that this storm would pass. Marcus smiled faintly, recalling the carefree days now tinged with bittersweet longing. The hay bale from the wedding lingered in their thoughts, a symbol of their roots and resilience. Outside, the town's support began to swell. Neighbors organized petitions and shared stories to counter the growing doubts. Elena's friends arranged for the wedding to proceed regardless, hopeful that truth would shine through. The ordeal deepened their bond, transforming fear into courage. Marcus realized that love was not just about joy, but also about weathering storms hand in hand, standing firm against the winds. Days blurred into nights as Marcus awaited the next hearing. The sterile walls of the holding cell pressed in, the faint echoes of footsteps and distant voices a constant reminder of his confinement. Yet within him grew a quiet fire, a steady flame fueled by hope and resolve. He reflected on his life, the struggles, the hopes, and the unwavering belief that justice would prevail. Memories of Elena's laughter, the touch of her hand, and the scent of lilac she carried on her breath filled him with strength. Elena's visits brought light, each one a brief reprieve from the gray monotony. Together they mapped out their next steps, determined to uncover the truth behind the accusation. Marcus remembered the hay bale near the railroad tracks, the place where the stolen items were supposedly hidden. He resolved to investigate, trusting that concrete evidence would clear his name. With Elena's help, he began piecing together the puzzle, reaching out to friends and exploring leads. The journey was arduous, each step a test of patience and faith, but each step strengthened his resolve. The hay bale, once a simple rustic decoration, had become a silent sentinel in their fight, a reminder that even the roughest exterior held stories worth uncovering. Armed with newfound determination, Marcus and Elena visited the East End railroad tracks under the cover of dusk. The horizon blazed with the colors of sunset, orange, pink, and purple blending into a tapestry of hope. The air was cool and carried the faint scent of damp earth and rust. The hay bale sat exactly where Marcus remembered, golden strands rustling softly in the evening breeze. Nearby, discarded scraps of fabric and footprints in the soft soil hinted at recent activity, shadows stretching long across the ground. Marcus knelt, fingers tracing the rough texture of the hay bale. The prickly fibers pressed into his skin, grounding him in the moment. Something caught his eye, a small crumpled envelope tucked beneath the bale, partially hidden in the fading light. Elena carefully retrieved it, unfolding the faded paper inside. It was an old letter, stained with dirt but legible, a confession from someone admitting to the theft and falsely implicating Marcus. The handwriting wavered but carried the weight of truth. The discovery was a breakthrough, a beacon cutting through the fog of suspicion. The hay bale, silent witness to both accusation and hope, had unveiled the truth. Their hearts raced, hope surging like a tide. This evidence could exonerate Marcus and restore justice. With the letter in hand, Marcus and Elena hurried to the sheriff's office. The scent of polished wood and the faint buzz of fluorescent lights greeted them as they entered. The waiting room was quiet, the air thick with anticipation. Detective Harris examined the letter, eyebrows lifting in surprise. "This changes everything," he said, his tone a mix of relief and cautious optimism. The officers moved quickly, verifying the letter's authenticity and cross-checking details. Soon, the charges against Marcus were dropped, the weight of accusation lifting like a heavy fog. The news rippled through Willow Creek. Supporters cheered, their voices echoing through the town square, while skeptics fell silent, their doubts dissipating in the face of truth. The hay bale near the tracks became a symbol of resilience and truth, a reminder that justice required persistence and courage. Marcus was released, greeted by Elena's tearful smile and the warm embrace of friends. The wedding, once overshadowed by fear, now shone with renewed hope. The journey had tested their strength, but love and truth had triumphed. The community center buzzed with renewed energy as the wedding hour approached. White ribbons fluttered in the gentle breeze, and the scent of lilacs mingled with fresh-cut grass, creating a fragrant tapestry that wrapped around the guests like a warm embrace. Marcus adjusted his tuxedo with steady hands, glancing at the hay bale near the stage, now decorated with wildflowers, transforming from a rustic prop into a symbol of their journey. The blooms, soft blues, vibrant yellows, and gentle whites, wove through the golden strands, a celebration of life's beauty emerging from hardship. Elena appeared, radiant and calm. Her dress shimmered in the soft light, the lace catching the sun's last rays. In her eyes burned a fierce joy born of trials overcome, and her smile held a quiet strength that touched everyone present. Friends and family gathered, their faces reflecting a mixture of relief and celebration. The air hummed with anticipation and the quiet hum of whispered prayers for happiness. Marcus and Elena shared a final look, silent promises exchanged, hearts beating in unison. The moment was near, and the past shadows had been replaced by the bright glow of a shared future. As the sun dipped low, casting golden light through stained glass windows, Marcus and Elena stood before the gathered crowd. The officiant smiled warmly, the rustle of wedding guests blending with the scent of lilacs and fresh hay, creating an atmosphere thick with emotion. Marcus's voice was steady but filled with emotion as he spoke his vows. "Elena, you are my strength, my hope, and my future. Together, we have faced storms and found light. I promise to stand by you, to love you fiercely, and to cherish every moment we share." Elena's eyes shimmered with tears, her voice soft yet resolute. "Marcus, our love is a testament to resilience. Today we begin a new chapter, unshaken and unbreakable. I vow to walk beside you, through every joy and challenge, with an open heart." The hay bale beside them, now adorned with blooms, stood as a silent witness to their journey, from accusation and doubt to truth and love. As they exchanged rings and sealed their vows with a kiss, the crowd erupted in applause, the sound ringing through the hall like a triumphant symphony. The moment was not just a celebration of marriage, but a triumph of justice and faith. In the days that followed, Willow Creek embraced a new chapter of unity. Marcus resumed work at the family auto shop, the scent of motor oil and hay filling the air once more. The familiar clink of tools and the hum of engines became a comforting backdrop to his days. Elena's art flourished, inspired by their shared journey. Her paintings captured the vibrant colors of hope, the shadows of struggle, and the light of love that guided them. The hay bale from the wedding became a permanent fixture in the community garden, a symbol of hope, resilience, and the power of truth. Its weathered fibers spoke silently to all who passed by. Their relationship deepened, forged in the crucible of adversity. Together, they navigated the complexities of healing, forgiveness, and growth, their love a steady flame in the changing seasons. The town, too, learned to confront its shadows, embracing change with open hearts. Conversations that once skirted around difficult topics began to unfold with honesty and compassion. Through trials and triumphs, Marcus and Elena's story became a beacon, a testament to love's enduring power. Years later, the community center still stood, framed by towering oaks and blooming lilacs. The hay bale, now weathered but cherished, remained a symbol of a day that changed everything. Its golden strands had faded slightly, but the wildflowers entwined around it kept its spirit alive. Marcus and Elena watched their children play in the nearby park, their laughter mingling with the rustling leaves and the distant whistle of a passing train. The sun cast long, warm shadows across the grass, painting the scene with a timeless glow. Their love story, once shadowed by suspicion and fear, now blossomed in light and hope. The past had shaped them, but it did not define them. Together they faced the future, hand in hand, heart to heart, rooted deeply in truth, courage, and unwavering love. End of narrative.